Be your tour guide and driver. Could everybody hear me in the back? Give me a thumbs up if you could hear me. Okay, wonderful. Crazy weather. 1 minute it's raining, 1 minute it's sunny. Folks, we are going to be taking approximately a 35-minute tour around the perimeter of the garden. We're going to be making 4 stops. The first is the science, second is the prairie, third is the Regenstein, and the last is our learning center, where we have the butterfly and blooms, and that's just a 5-minute walk from here. So you can get off at any one of those 4 designations, but that will end the tour with myself, since I only wait for you to safely get off, and then I have to continue on. But another tram will be coming by in the next 30 minutes or so, and if they have some empty seats, well, then you could climb aboard. Before I continue, I want to go through some safety protocols, which are very important. Number 1, always be seated. Sit firmly in your seat. Never stand on a moving tram. If you have a personal item that would fall off, please do not jump off a moving tram. That is a recipe for disaster. Wave your hand, yell out, David, I'll stop the tram and retrieve whatever has been dropped. Also, if there's an emergency, yell out, David, or wave, I'll come back and we'll see if we can resolve whatever the issue is. Also, very important, let's keep all our body parts, arms, legs, feet, within the tram. We come close to a lot of obstacles. I want everybody to come back exactly the way they left off. No eating or drinking. Drinking is permitted if you have a cap, a top, or a lid. We don't want you to be wearing your beverage since it's bumpy, and it would certainly spill on you if you didn't have those things on it. Also, if you have a mobile device that makes noise, if you could put it on vibrate or mute, since this is a narrated tour, that would be appreciated. And finally, when talking to the person next to you, if you talk in a hushed voice, much like if you're in a movie theater, that would be greatly appreciated. So with all that said, we're going to be leaving from our Welcome Plaza, just opened up last year, and our tram base over here, and we're going to be going on an electric tram, so you folks don't have to worry about gas fumes or exhaust. We are doing our part to save the planet. And with that said, sit back. I want you all to sit back and enjoy the tour and the ride. And we shall take off in just
Chicago
one moment.
Botanik Bahçesi turumuz başlıyor.
Now,
Bakalım
if
neler
this is your
göreceğiz.
first time here at our garden, or if you're a regular, it is an abstract depiction of a coneflower with the white center and all those beautiful colored petals around the white center. Now, each of those colored petals has a symbolic meaning. For example, the green petal symbolizes plants, the blue symbolizes water, and the yellow symbolizes light. So each of those colors does have some symbolic meaning. Now we have a new tagline, and our tagline there is plants, people, and the planet. And that is what our garden is all about. Now every year, folks, we have a theme here at our Botanic Garden. This year's theme is Lost and Found. You probably saw the big banner Lost and Found when you entered our garden. But Lost and Found is about when you journey through our garden, you are going to see art installations which are going to tell you all about our successful conservation efforts here at our garden. And these art installations are scattered through our garden. But as I pass our parking lots, this might be a good time to tell you a little bit about our history. In 1960, the Chicago Horticultural Society was looking for a potential site to build a garden. Now, the Chicago Horticultural Society, folks, actually manages our garden. And in 1965, they entered an agreement with the Cook County Forest Preserve District, who owns the land that we're on. And later in 65, they began to build the garden. Well, the garden was completed in 72, and we opened up in 1972. That first year, we only had one garden and one greenhouse. But that first year, we had 20,000 visitors, which we deemed as a huge success. And we had 20,000 visitors in one garden, one greenhouse. Fast forward to today. Today, folks, we have 385 acres, which comprises our garden. We have 28 distinctive gardens, 9 islands, and 4 natural areas. And this year, we are expecting in excess of 1.2 million visitors. So we have gone from 20,000 to 1.2 million visitors. So I want you all to pat yourselves on the back. We thank you for your generous patronage. And because of that, we have been able to flourish. So thank you again. But now, as we pass this road to the right, I want you to look to the right. You're going to see canopies, and those canopies are over park benches. That is our new stone picnic lane that just opened up last year. We have additional restrooms there, and we have enough park benches to accommodate 200 plus picnickers. But the nice thing about our stone picnic lane, it overlooks our beautiful Japanese gardens. But now to the left and to the right, we are passing one of our natural areas. This is the Mary McDonald Woods. Now originally we just had 50 McDonald Woods. Now when we took it over, it was a mess, so we had to undergo a big restoration effort to clear out all these invasive plants, such as buckthorn and garlic mustard. And when we cleared them out, then we planted wildflowers and native grasses. But now it is a thriving 100-acre Mary McDonald Woods. And you can take that path to the left. It's a nice storyboard, and learn all about the habitat plants in our Mary McDonald Woods. Now to the right, we're coming to the jewel of our Botanic Garden. This is our Japanese gardens, Sancho-en, a garden of 3 islands. And this first island is called Hirojima, the island of everlasting happiness. And notice on Hirojima, it doesn't have any bridge to it. There are no paths on it, so there are no humans strolling on it. This is said to be a mythical island, inhabited by immortals, and to be viewed from far, far away. Notice along the perimeter of these 3 islands, you're going to see rocks or boulders. Well, they are strategically placed, and they represent the bones of the earth. Now our next island over there is called Sifuto. You see some folks on that path.
En güzel etkinlik bu oldu galiba
It's a wonderful stroll through Island Garden. And there you're going to have a hide and reveal experience. Because what we want you to see is going to be gradually revealed to you, not all at once. In between the islands there, you see that waterfall garden? That is one of my favorites. You walk up 45 feet on rock steps. On top you get a good view of the garden, a great place to see the sunsets. But I enjoy the water cascading against the rocks. It makes such a wonderful sound. But look to the right, you're going to see a wooden roof. That wooden structure is called an arbor house. And that's where our samurai warriors can relax and meditate. It is surrounded by gravel, which represents the sea. In the gravel you might find some shrubs and rocks, which represent islands. I think of it as a Zen garden. But look, leading from Sifuto, you're going to see a zigzag marble bridge, and behind it there is a brown building. Well, that brown building, folks, is called the Shoen Building, and that is famous for being on our first and largest island, Kyoto, the island of the auspicious cloud. Now, that Shoen Building was a summer retreat for our samurai warriors. It was built in Japan by craftsmen. We had those craftsmen disassemble it, and then we brought the craftsmen right here to our garden, to our island of Kyoto, where they put together that Shoen Building without using any screws, bolts, or nails. It kind of reminds me of an old Japanese tea house with sliding wood doors. But why, folks, would we have a zigzag bridge? going to Kyoto? Well, there's a method to our madness, folks. That bridge is zigzag so that you purposely slow down. The beautiful, beautiful surroundings of our garden. Now, as I make this curve, you're going to get a better view of our first stop, the island of Kyoto. Now, in Kyoto and Sifuto, folks, we have pruned crabapple trees to look just like plum and cherry blossom trees that they have in Japan. Now, our climate makes it impossible for us to grow those trees, but we try to replicate that look with these crabapple trees. Now, notice on Kyoto there's another wood structure, which is another arbor house, and that is surrounded by another Zen garden. As you may know, our Japanese gardens are a great place where wedding parties like to take pictures. And that is because our Japanese gardens are so beautiful. But now to the right, folks, we are passing one of our two evaluation gardens. This is called the Lavin Plant Evaluation Garden, and it is comprised of thousands of perennials, flowering shrubs, and ground cover. Now, scientists monitor this evaluation garden every 4 or 5 years to see if this garden can grow in our Midwestern climate. Now, these scientists take all kinds of measurements, size, color, hardiness to pests, and they post the results on the internet for all to see. Now, these scientists work in this building coming up to the left. This is the Rice Plant Conservation Science Center, very contemporary looking building, and our scientists work in this building. Look on top there, you see solar panels on the roof. Also on the roof we have two rooftop gardens, which are very popular in Chicago now. But notice how our building is built on pillars or stilts. That's because the ground below is wet, and there we have planted water-loving plants that can absorb water 30% better than a patch of grass, and that forms our second garden, our rainwater glen garden. So folks, this is our first stop. Anybody wishing to get off and explore by the Science Center may do so. Okay, we're all staying aboard. David at the Science Center, none off, none on. Okay, we shall continue. But to the right that is a working sundial. Unfortunately, there's no sun out, but wherever that shadow would be cast, that would tell you the time to the minute. And to the right, you're going to see two paths. And on either side of those paths, there's a row of trees, actually one right after another, almost one behind each other. All those trees, folks, are sycamore trees. They all belong to the sycamore family. But now to the left, behind this green hedge or fence, this is our planned production site. And this first area behind that green hedge, that is our staging area. That's where we stage all the plants to be taken out and planted in the garden. I'm going to tell you an amazing statistic. We bring out from our staging area 250,000 plants every year and plant them in our garden. And to the left, you're going to see Quonset huts, greenhouses, where we have all different plants at different stages of production, ready to be inspected on benches. And then after they're inspected, then they are staged and then brought out to our garden. But now to the left and right, this is our second evaluation garden. This is called the Shida Shade Evaluation Garden. And I know what you're saying, if it was sunny, you wouldn't see too much shade. But 2 years ago, folks, we planted these trees on either side of the road. And these are dawn redwood and bald cypress trees. And when we planted them 2 years ago, see how they've matured in just 2 years. But in the year ahead and years ahead, these trees will provide plenty of shade to our Shida gardens, and our scientists will evaluate if these gardens can grow in the shade and if they could grow in our Midwestern climates. Look at these beautiful pink flowers here, bushes. They are hibiscus. We have them in white, pink, and blue. And on either side of our sheet of gardens, you're going to find a semicircular gravel path where you could walk through and examine and explore our sheet of gardens. But this brick building to the left, that is the head house. That's where we do base preparation work and have staff offices. But also to the left, you're seeing one of our 3 tunnels. We have 2 tunnels to the left and 1 to the right, and each of them lead out to each other. At the base of these tunnels, folks, we have planted crabapple trees. We have trained the vines to go over that. You'll be walking through complete shade. But now to the left, we are passing our newer 28 eco-friendly greenhouses, folks. These newer 28 greenhouses, they occupy 62,000 square feet. You can see those exhaust fans whirling around. They control temperature and humidity. We have skylights that open up and side panels letting in more light and air. Now, folks, they are all controlled by a computer. In my day, we didn't have a computer doing that work. Well, that means in any one of these 28 greenhouses, we could grow any kind of plant in any season. And to the left, you're seeing our trial rose gardens. We might bring out quite a few of these roses and plant them on our main garden in our rose garden on our main island. Either side, they are called sleeping cats. They are ornamental grasses. And now, folks, we will be making a sharp right-hand turn onto a weir bridge, because down below is a weir dam. And a weir dam connects 2 bodies of water. In this case, it's our Botanik Lake to the right and our Skokie River to the left. So keep all our body parts in, even when we're taking a picture. To the left there, you see these brick buildings? That is our bonsai studios. That's where we produce all our bonsai trees. And bonsais are living sculptures. And now as we go over this bridge, to the right, that is our Botanik Lake, and to the left is our Skokie River. Take a look in the middle of the lake there, that is a blue heron. Remember when I told you about that restoration effort that took place in our Mary McDonald Woods with those invasive plants? Well, now, folks, we are entering a recreation project because we are entering 15 acres to the left and right, which at one time were completely flat. We had to bring in trucks and bulldozers, and we have created the 6 Dixon prairies on just 15 acres. Now, prairies are the grasslands of North America. Illinois at one time had 22 million acres of prairie. Now we have approximately 2,500 acres. So when the plow was invented and the cities were born, there went our prairies. But to the right here, this is our first Dixon prairie. This is the bur oak savanna prairie, and it has these bur oak trees in it. Now, you wouldn't expect to see trees in a prairie because of wildfires that have burnt. Wildfires caused by lightning have burned down most trees. But these bur oak trees are special because the trees are barky and they are fire resistant. You know, it would be a lot safer if you could hold the baby and have her sit on your lap or on the seat. I don't want to. You might have to come to a sudden stop. She could then, on your lap, get a better view. But if you look to the right over there, you see a boardwalk. That boardwalk leads to Marsh Island. And that forms our wet prairie. But to the left here, this is our tall grass or mesic prairie. In another week, you're going to see tall grass as high as 6 to 8 feet. The amazing thing is that the roots that go down, they could go down twice as deep as the tall grass going up. Now, on either side of our prairie, folks, we have gravel paths with storyboards telling you all about the habitat plants that are in our prairie. Now, to the left, you're going to see our Skokie mudflats. There are all kinds of birds who love to land on these mudflats. You already saw blue heron, hopefully. But if you're a bird watcher coming to the prairie, that's the best place to do your bird watching. But Illinois, thousands of years ago, they had glaciers, and when they melted, they left us with a gravel and sand hill, forming our hill prairie on top. Now, water will run down that hill, it will be caught by a reservoir and slowly released to the base, forming a fen prairie. Now look at some of these flowers. You see those yellow flowers with that brown or black center? Those are cone flowers. Now we have smaller yellow flowers with a black center that aren't as big and the petals don't droop. Those are black-eyed Susan flowers. All these white flowers there called flowering spurge. Interspersed in these white flowers, we have these red flowers that just popped up. Now they are apropos called cardinal flowers, just like the cardinal bird. So all kinds of flowers grow here in our prairie. We have purple flowers called bee-bombs. Here in our prairie, we might have mowings, controlled burnings. Then we plant new seeds, but nature doesn't take all the seeds that we plant. So certain seeds will grow, others will not. The droppings from our mowings, they provide nutrients to our new flowers. But the prairie is always in a dynamic state. Always new flowers, old flowers gone. So this prairie is going to be our second stop. Wait till I come to a complete stop. Okay, anybody wishing to get off, we'll explore the prairies. We got our bur oak savanna prairie with those fire-resistant bur oak trees. Got our wet prairie on Marsh Island, and our mesic or tallgrass prairie, and then our 2-for-1, our hill prairie on top, and then our fen prairie below. Where is the 6 Dixon prairie? Well, as we pass this lake to the right, see that land jutting out facing us? Just at the tip of that is our sand prairie, just at the tip. It's mostly covered with algae and plants. And the sand prairie could probably be seen better at the southwestern tip of Lake Michigan or at our dunes. Now to the right, this is Festival Field, and to the left you're going to see 2 purple martin birdhouses. These birdhouses, I call them 4-story condominiums. They are home to our migrating purple martins who come from South America. They are communal birds. They come with their family and friends, and they know they can take up residence in this 4-story condominium. Interesting fact about our purple martins, they only drink water in mid-flight. But now as we pass these trees to the right, you're going to get a view, if you peer through these trees, of a bell tower. When I make this curve, you'll get a better view of that bell tower. That bell tower is called the Carillon Bell Tower, and it is famous for being on Evening Island. Evening Island is a wonderful stroll through island garden. Great place to see the sunsets. There's also a terrace there where you can bring a snack or a drink, sit out, overlook our Great Basin. But Evening Island is famous for that Carillon Bell Tower, composed of 48 bronze bells, each with a different pitch. The lightest is 24 pounds, the heaviest bell is 5,000 pounds. And that rings every hour on the hour and is rung by a keyboard, not a rope, much like an organ. The serpentine, because it's wavy like a snake, and the one behind that is an arch bridge. But isn't that a beautiful scenic view? The sun would glisten off the lake with those willows on either side of the serpentine. If I was a photographer, that would be worthy of a picture postcard. But that serpentine bridge leads right into our sensory garden behind those tall evergreens. There you'll see beautiful flowers and plants that engage all your senses: sight, smell, touch, even hearing. We have water trickling through the flowers and plants, and we encourage you to touch the flowers and plants. But if you go a little bit forward, you're going to come to our enabling garden. And this is a garden for people of all abilities. because the plants and flowers are easily accessible because they're on raised flower beds and wall hangings. So even folks in wheelchairs are able to engage all their senses. But look to the right. To the right, you're going to see a bridge. And that bridge, folks, that bridge starts from our main island and it goes to our smallest island. That is Spider Island. 9 islands, Spider Island is the smallest of the 9. And it's not called Spider Island because of the spiders. No, it's called Spider Island because the donor or the benefactor of the island named it in loving memory of his wife, Sally Grunsfeld, who was a gentle soul, couldn't even kill a bug, let alone a spider. Her nickname was Spider, and in her loving memory, it's called Spider Island. But look to the left there, you see our botanic wall. Folks, that wall is comprised of 247,000 hand-laid bricks. That wall took 2 years to build. Provides a wonderful visual and sound barrier to our expressway. And now as we make this
Muhteşem
turn,
güzellikler.
a better view of Spider Island. The path is so close to the lake. Now you can only go halfway through Spider Island. Rocks prevent you from going in a circle. But look at those gray birch trees. Folks, if you come back in the fall, Spider Island is probably the most scenic view in all of fall here at Spider Island. Yellow, red, orange, those white birch trees, they're going to look magnified. They'll have purple flowers there called monkhood flowers, simply spectacular. But to the right over there, you see that tower. That tower looms over Regenstein Center, which is going to be our 3rd stop. And the Regenstein Center, folks, is a wonderful resource for learning about plants, the natural world. Also at the Regenstein Center, there's like an information booth. If you take a picture of any plant or flower and you don't know what it is, that information booth will tell you the name of the flower. So it's a wonderful informative resource. Also in our Regenstein Center, you can find a library called the Leonard Library, and members are actually able to take out books. To the left over there, you see a circular wall, brick wall. That encloses our circle garden. There we have beautiful flowers, vibrant colors, annuals, perennials, trees, shrubs. The circle garden is the only garden that we change 3 times a year. In the center is a beautiful fountain. There are benches there. A great place to take photographs. Flowers are so bright and beautiful. So we changed the plants spring, summer, and fall. To the right over there, that bridge is the bridge that led to Spider Island. And it is said that bridge is actually longer than Spider Island. So now we are coming to the west portico of our Regenstein Center. That's where we have our 2 courtyards of 32 bonsai trees. Limber pine.
Başladığımız yere geldik.
But to the right you're seeing greenhouses. We have 3 greenhouses that you could explore. One is arid with cactuses, one is tropical, one is semi-tropical. So you could go in any one of those. So folks, this is our first, or not our first, this is our 3rd stop. Anybody wishing to get off? Right ahead of it, this is our model railroad garden, which is one of my favorites. That's just a little bit ahead, so maybe you'll want to explore that. David at the west. That is our model railroad garden, one of my favorites. You'll see 9th Statue of Liberty.
Chicago Botanik Bahçesi'ndeki gezimizin sonuna geliyoruz. Güzel bir gezi oldu.
That will erupt every quarter hour. It will emit lots of smoke, replicating a volcano eruption. Kids love it. Even us old guys like myself.
Çalışmamı izlediğiniz için teşekkür ederim.
Look at this beauty. Notice the trunk, smooth and gray.
Evet.
We supposedly saved that
Biraz daha yol varmış.
Straight from a construction site, and when we built the garden, we planted that purple beech tree. But now we are coming to a fork in the road. We're going to go right, but on either side, we have an Ohio buckeye tree on either side of the road. To the right, you're going to find a grove of Ohio buckeye trees. But look at the yellow nuts that they produce. These yellow nuts are about the size of a golf ball on the Ohio buckeye tree. Now, when you cut that nut in half, it is going to look just like the watery pupil of a male deer. And of course, a male deer is a buck. That's how the Ohio buckeye tree got its name. Do not eat that nut, folks. It is poisonous to us humans. But for animals, no problem. But to the right here, over this hill, you see terraces. Those terraces, they lead out to our aquatic garden. There you'll see beautiful water lilies with flowers on the surface. Later in the summer, you'll see lotuses whose flower is 6 feet above the water. Beautiful pastel colors. A little disappointed, not a lot of water lilies. But you see that bridge in the background there? Folks on top of that bridge? That bridge leads from our aquatic garden and goes to our fruit and vegetable island. This is a 4-acre fruit and vegetable island where we have our fruit and vegetable garden. We cultivate 700 fruit plants, 36 different apples, 24 different tomatoes, all grown organically. But look close to the brick building there. You're going to see some yellow boxes. Those yellow boxes, folks, are actually beehives. And bees are so crucial to us human beings because they are pollinators. Now, 90% of our food plants are pollinated. Without that happening, we would have some of my favorite foods, such as chocolate, coffee, and strawberries, just to name a few. But to the right over here, this is the biggest lake that we have in the garden. It's called the North Lake. And if you would have come here 12 years ago, this lake bed would be dry because our shoreline was falling into the lake due to erosion. So we had another restoration project. We diverted this whole lake to the left to our Skokie River. And then when it was dry, then we buttressed up the shoreline, and then we planted 120,000 water-loving plants all along the perimeter of the lake. That took us 2.5 years to do. But then we had to refill the lake. We had to bring back the water from our Skokie River. Folks, it took us 33 days to refill that lake because that lake contains 54 million gallons of water, which is no small drop in the bucket. But now to the right, we call this an oak meadow. And on this oak meadow, we have two very prominent oak trees. This first oak tree to the right is brown leaves and is a white oak tree. The next one is a red oak tree. And how do you distinguish them? Well, you got to get up close. But if you get up close to the white oak tree, you'll notice that the leaf is a rounded leaf. And this red oak tree, we're a little closer, but you can see the red oak tree has a pointed leaf. So that's how we distinguish them. The white oak tree is the native tree of Illinois. But as we pass this lake, in the background there, you can see some of our apple groves on our fruit and vegetable island. And to the left, folks, you're going to see a lot of tall evergreens. These evergreens that produce these brown cones, they are called coniferous trees. But not all evergreens are coniferous. But look to the right here, you're going to see a trio or 3 weeping Serbian spruce trees. Yeah, they're native Serbia. Those trees can grow as high as 150 feet. Now, folks, we will be coming to the signature tree here at the garden. My favorite tree, this is the weeping willow tree. And it is to the right here. I'll go slow. Look at that beautiful, majestic weeping willow. That tree is said to be 100 years old. And when I stand underneath it, I think it wants to give me a hug. But look at this next tree. Look at the spiny needles on the trunk and limbs. That's a swamp locust tree. You don't want to give that tree a hug. Our indigenous tribe used those spiny needles to sew moccasins and buckskin. And our indigenous tribe, they used the bark from that weeping willow tree for medicine. And by George, German scientists came here years ago, and they found out that bark contains a derivative of salicylic acid, which is the most important component of our everyday aspirin. And I'm told those German scientists actually founded the Bayer Aspirin Company, which is headquartered in Germany. But now, folks, we will be coming to our last stop, the 7-acre Regenstein Learning Center. And at the tip of our Regenstein Learning Center, we have our tented dome, which houses our butterfly and bloom attraction, where we have over 300 butterflies and moths from all over the world, all different beautiful colors. They are really flying around. They could even land on your shoulders, but folks, do not lifespan. To the right, this path takes us to Kleinman Cove, where you can walk out on the terraces with storyboards, learn all about the habitat of the lake. So wait till I come to a complete stop. I will tell you when it is safe to get off our tram. Okay, folks, it is now safe. If any of you want to explore our butterfly and bloom, you can get off to the right. That's our learning center. That's where we have classrooms and classes for people of all ages. Classes in cooking, gardening, photography, yoga, anything, everything. But right next to our learning center, that is our nature playground. Children love to run up and down the hills, climb on rocks, crawl through tunnels made out of hollowed-out tree trunks. They could play there the whole day. But look to the right. This is a grove of ginkgo trees. I want you to notice the fan-shaped leaf on these ginkgo trees. That's how you can identify a ginkgo tree. Now, the species of ginkgo tree, folks, is the oldest tree on the planet, and we know that because the DNA of the leaves were found inside dinosaur bones. But remember when I told you about Horojima, the first Japanese island? There was no bridge to it and no path, so no humans were on it. Well, this is the only other island like that. This is Bird Island. And since there's no humans on it, our fine feather friends love to migrate to Bird Island. They come here, they know they're not going to be bothered by humans. They could even raise their chicks here. Here you'll find ducks, geese, mallards, even a blue heron or two. All different kinds of birds. I like to say Bird Island is strictly for the birds. But those trees on Bird Island, those are swamp oak trees. And now, folks, we are
İndiğimiz
just
noktaya
back to our
geldik.
lovely
Birazdan
plaza,
ineceğiz. Gezimiz sona
which
eriyor.
is just a 5-minute walk to our butterfly and blooms. So you don't have very far to go. But you came at a good time, because look on Bird Island there. You see those flowers popping up? They pop up from nowhere. They're called surprise lilies. Pink flowers, beautiful weeping willow tree. They're very popular here because they're airy and breezy. And they love water. You'll find them along the perimeters of our lakes because they help prevent erosion. But here at our garden we have a wonderful mission statement. It states, we cultivate the power of plants to sustain and enrich life. Well, folks, our food plants certainly sustain us, and I love to say just the beauty here at our garden certainly enriches our lives, gives us inspiration, and I'm so happy that you went on this tour with me, because every tour you're going to go on by a tour guide is going to be a little different. So you're going to learn all kinds of different things depending upon the tour guide. But I want to thank you for going on this tour with me. I hope this tour has piqued your interest in the garden, you'll want to come back and do some further exploration. Like I said, this is my 3rd year here. If you do come back, please, if you come back, say hello to me. I like seeing some of my old trampsters, because I plan to be here for many, many more years. And wait till I come to a complete stop, and I will tell you when it is safe to get off